Top 50. 1. The law of assumption. Reality is reshaped by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The power of awareness. 1952. 2. SATs. State akin to sleep. Imprint the subconscious during the drowsy drift into sleep. Feeling is the secret. 1944. 3. Mental transmutation. You can change your mental state by changing your vibration. The Kybalion. 1908. 4. The mastermind. Two minds working in harmony create a third, invisible force. The law of success. 1928. 5. Sex transmutation. Channeling carnal drive into creative or professional genius. Think and grow rich. 1937. 6. Autosuggestion. Repeated words bypass the critical faculty to program the deep mind self-mastery through conscious autosuggestion. 1922. The vacuum law of prosperity. You must create space, give away, or clear out for the new to enter the dynamic laws of prosperity. 1962. 8. The fourth way. Man is asleep. He must remember himself to awaken in search of the miraculous. 1949. 9. Amor fati. Love your fate, including the suffering, to become untouchable. The Gay Science. 1882. 10. Premeditatio malorum. Visualize catastrophe to inoculate yourself against fear. Letters from a Stoic, circa 65 AD. 11. Wu Wei. Effortless action. Achieve everything by forcing nothing. Tao Te Ching, circa 400 BC. 12. The method of Lo Chi. Place memories in a physical mental palace for perfect recall. De Oratore, 55 BC. 13. Spaced repetition. Information must be reviewed at increasing intervals to halt decay. Memory, a contribution to experimental psychology. 1885. 14. The Zeigarnik effect. The brain remembers unfinished tasks better than finished ones. Unfinished and unfinished tasks. 1927. Price's law. 50% of the work is done by the square root of the number of employees. Little Science, Big Science. 1963. 16. The Lindy effect. The longer a non-perishable idea has survived, the longer it will survive. Anti-Fragile. 2012. 17. Via negativa. Improve life by subtraction, removing bad habits or risks, rather than addition. Anti-Fragile. 2012. 18. The map is not the territory. The description of the thing is not the thing itself. Science and Sanity. 1933. 19. Inversion. Solve problems by working backward. How to fail versus how to succeed. Poor Charlie's Almanac. 2005. 20. Margin of safety. Always build a buffer for error in calculations in life. The Intelligent Investor. 1949. 21. The richest man in Babylon. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Pay yourself first. The Richest Man in Babylon. 1926. 22. Acres of Diamonds. The opportunity you seek is right where you stand now. Acres of Diamonds. 1890. 23. The Science of Getting Rich. Competition is a lie you must create, not compete. The Science of Getting Rich. 1910. 24. It works. Technique. Write your desires. Read them 3x daily. Tell no one it works. 1926. 25. Psychocybernetics. The nervous system cannot tell the difference between an imagined experience and a real one. Psychocybernetics. 1960. 26. The Inner Game. Performance equals potential interference. Self-doubt. The Inner Game of Tennis. 1974. 27. Logotherapy. The primary human drive is not pleasure, but meaning. Man's search for meaning. 1946. 28. The flow state. Optimal experience occurs when challenge meets skill level flow. 1990. 29. Decision fatigue. Willpower is a finite resource that depletes throughout the day. Willpower. 2011. 30. Effectuation. Entrepreneurs start with means, who they are, not goals. Effectuation. Elements of entrepreneurial expertise. 2008. 31. The hedgehog concept. Focus only on what you can be the best in the world at. Good to Great. 2001. 32. The 80 or 20 principle. Pareto. 80% of outputs come from 20% of inputs. Cours d'économie politique. 1896. 33. Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. The Economist. 1955. 34. The Peter Principle. People rise to the level of their incompetence. The Peter Principle. 1969. 35. The OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. Speed wins conflicts. Patterns of conflict, 1986. 36. Hyperbolic discounting. We irrationally prefer smaller immediate rewards over larger later ones. The Economics of Time and Ignorance, 1984. 37. Morphic resonance. Self-organizing systems inherit a memory from previous similar systems. A New Science of Life, 1981. 38. Synchronicity. Events are connected by meaning, not just cause and effect. Synchronicity, 1952. 39. The shadow. You must integrate your dark side to become a whole human aeon. Researches into the phenomenology of the self, 1951. 40. The hero's journey. Growth requires leaving the known, facing the abyss, and returning changed. The Hero with 1,000 Faces, 1949. 41. Tattvamasi. You are that. You are the universe experiencing itself. Chandogya Upanishad, circa 800 BC 42. Yoga's Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, circa 400 AD 43. The middle way. Avoid extremes of indulgence and asceticism for clarity. Dhamma Chakkapavatana Sutta, circa 5th century BC 44. As within, so without. The external world is a reflection of the internal world. The Emerald Tablet, circa 8th century 45. Paulia's problem solving. If you can't solve a problem, there is an easier problem you can solve. Find it, how to solve it, 1945. 46. System 1 versus System 2. Your brain has a fast emotional mode and a slow logical mode. Thinking, fast and slow, 2011. 47. Anti-fragile. The resilient resists shocks. The anti-fragile gets better with shocks. Anti-fragile, 2012. 48. Deep work. Professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration push cognitive capabilities to their limit. Deep work, 2016. 49. The intellectual life. Organize your life around your work, not your work around your life. The intellectual life, 1920, 50. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Urgency filter. Meditations, circa 180 AD, next 50. Here are 50 additional high-leverage concepts, secrets, distinct from the first list, ranging from game theory and quantum physics to esoteric wisdom. 1. Reality transurfing. Pendulums, structures. Feed on your energy. Ignore them to starve them. Reality transurfing, 2004. 2. Finite and infinite games. Play not to win, but to extend the play indefinitely. Finite and infinite games, 1986. 3. Reflexivity. Market participants' biases alter the fundamentals, creating self-reinforcing loops. The Alchemy of Finance, 1987. Lateral thinking. Solve impossible problems by approaching them from illogical sideways angles. The use of lateral thinking, 1967. 5. TRIZ. There are only 40 universal principles to solve every inventive problem in history. Creativity as an exact science, 1979. 6. The Master Key. The world within is the cause. The world without is the effect. The Master Key System, 1912. 7. Loss aversion. The pain of losing is psychologically 2x more powerful than the pleasure of gaining. Prospect theory, 1979. 8. The Matthew effect. To those who have, more will be given. Cumulative advantage. The Matthew effect in science, 1968. 9. Zipf's law. The frequency of any word is inversely proportional to its rank. Power laws govern success. Human behavior and the principle of least effort, 1949. 10. The sovereign individual. Technology will destroy the nation-state and liberate the cognitive elite. The sovereign individual, 1997. 11. Mastery. Real success is staying on the plateau and loving the boredom of practice. Mastery, 1991. 12. The 1% rule. In any network, 90% lurk, 9% contribute, and 1% create. Creators, synthesizers, and consumers, 2006. 13. Spiral dynamics. Human consciousness evolves through predictable, color-coded tiers. Teal is self-actualized systems. The never-ending quest, 2005. 14. Categorical imperative. Act only on rules you would want to become universal laws for everyone. Groundwork of the metaphysics of morals, 1785. 15. The medium is the message. The tool you use changes you more than the content you consume. Understanding media, 1964. 16. Creative destruction. Economic progress requires the incessant destruction of old structures from within capitalism, socialism, and democracy. 1942. 17. Simulacra. We live in a map that has replaced the territory. Hyperreality, simulacra, and simulation. 1981. 18. The Lucifer effect. Good people can be induced to be evil by situational systems. The Lucifer effect. 2007. 19. Learned helplessness. Mammals stop trying if they believe they have no control, even when they do. Helplessness. 1975. 20. Self-efficacy. The belief in your ability to succeed is the strongest predictor of success. Self-efficacy. The exercise of control. 1997. 21. The tipping point. Small targeted changes cause systems to cross a threshold and shift radically. The tipping point. 2000. 22. Blue ocean strategy. Don't compete, make the competition irrelevant by creating new demand. Blue ocean strategy. 2005. 23. The innovator's dilemma. Doing the right thing for your current business will kill you in the long run. The innovator's dilemma. 1997. 24. Gelman amnesia. We trust the news on topics we don't know, despite seeing them lie about topics we do know. Why you can't believe the news. 2002. 25. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. Murphy's Law, Book 2, 1980. 26. Sturgeon's Law. 90% of everything, books, art, products, is trash. Venture science fiction. 1958. 27. Dunbar's number. You can only maintain stable relationships with 150 people. Coevolution of neocortex size. 1992. 28. Hormesis. Low-dose stressors. Cold, fasting, trigger cellular repair and strength. Toxicology and applied pharmacology. 1943. 29. Mushin. The state of no mind where action is instantaneous and unhesitating. The life-giving sword. 1632. 30. Shuhari. The 3 stages of mastery. Obey the rules, break the rules, be the rules. Wind and waves. 1400s. 31. Kaizen. Continuous, tiny 1% improvements compound into massive change. Kaizen. 1986. 32. Wabi-sabi. Find deep beauty in the imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. In Praise of Shadows. 1933. 33. The Silva method. You can consciously control brainwaves. Alpha. To heal and solve problems. The Silva mind control method. 1977. 34. Ho'oponopono. You heal the world by healing the part of you that created the perception of it. Zero Limits. 2007. 35. The 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. The 4 agreements. 1997. 36. Ego is the enemy. Confidence is internal. Ego is external and prevents you from seeing reality. Ego is the enemy. 2016. 37. Essentialism. The disciplined pursuit of less but better. Essentialism. 2014. 38. Radical candor. Care personally about people while challenging them directly. Radical candor. 2017. 39. Skin in the game. Never trust advice from someone who doesn't share the downside risk. Skin in the game. 2018. 40. Gödel's incompleteness. In any logical system, there are truths that cannot be proven by the system on formally undecidable propositions. 1931. 41. Heisenberg uncertainty. You cannot know the position and momentum of a particle simultaneously. Quantum theoretical reinterpretation. 1927. 42. Entropy. Second law. Disorder always increases. You must relentlessly expend energy to maintain order. Reflections on the motive power of fire. 1824. 43. Principle of least action. Nature always chooses the path that requires the minimum energy. Maupertuis. 1744. 44. Occam's razor. The simplest explanation with the fewest assumptions is usually correct. William of Occam. Circa 1320. 45. Chesterton's fence. Do not remove a restriction until you fully understand why it was put there. The Thing. 1929. 46. The tragedy of the commons. Individuals acting in self-interest will deplete shared resources. Science. 1968. 47. The pyramidal principle. Ideas must be grouped and presented top-down. Answer first. The Minto pyramid principle. 1973. 48. Maslow's hammer. If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. The Psychology of Science, 1966, 49. The Cobra Effect. Attempted solutions often make the problem worse. Unintended consequences. Colonial India Anecdotes, circa 1900s. Lollapalooza Effect. When multiple biases act together, scarcity plus social proof. They create extreme outcomes. The Psychology of Human Misjudgment, 1995. 50 Censored Ones. Here are 50 sharp concepts ideas often considered too cynical, Machiavellian, or esoteric for mainstream polite society. These deal with power dynamics, manipulation, and the darker mechanics of how the world actually operates. Use with extreme caution. 1. The noble lie. The elite must deceive the masses for their own good to maintain social order. The Republic, circa 375 BC. 2. Engineering of consent. Democracy requires the invisible manipulation of the masses by a hidden government propaganda. 1928. 3. Iron law of oligarchy. All organizations, no matter how democratic, eventually become ruled by a self-serving few political parties. 1911. 4. Mimetic desire. You don't want things, you want to be the person who has the thing. Conflict comes from sameness, deceit, desire, and the novel. 1961. Master-slave morality, good and evil, are inventions of the weak to control the strong. On the Genealogy of Morals, 1887. 6. Straussian reading. Great texts have an exoteric message for the masses, and an esoteric one for the elite. Persecution and the Art of Writing, 1952. 7. Virtue and Fortuna. The leader must be willing to enter evil when necessity commands it. The Prince, 1532. 8. Crush your enemy totally. If you leave an ember burning, the fire will return. Wipe them out. The 48 Laws of Power, 1998. 9. The Dictator's Handbook. Leaders do not answer to the people, but to the small coalition of keys who keep them in power. The Dictator's Handbook, 2011. 10. Manufactured consent. Media filters information to serve the interests of dominant power groups. Manufacturing consent, 1988. 11. The Gervais Principle. Organizations are run by sociopaths, kept alive by losers, and the clueless middle management is the buffer. The Gervais Principle, 2009. 12. Rent-seeking. It is easier to extract wealth by manipulating the political environment than by creating value. The Tulloch Trap, 1967. 13. Hyperreality. We have replaced reality with symbols. The simulation is now more real than the real. Simulacra and simulation, 1981. 14. The spectacle. Social life has been replaced by its representation. We are passive observers of life. The Society of the Spectacle, 1967. 15. Biopower. The state's ultimate power is the administration and control of biological life and bodies. The History of Sexuality, 1976. 16. Reflexive control. Manipulate the enemy's perception so they voluntarily make the decision you want them to make. Soviet military theory, 1960s. 17. Active measures. Subversion is more effective than war. Demoralize a nation until they cannot process facts. KGB Defector Lectures, 1984. 18. The Overton Window. Policies are only viable if they fall within the window of public acceptability. Move the window, not the policy. Mackinac Center, 1990s. 19. The True Believer. Mass movements appeal to frustrated people seeking to lose their individual self. The True Believer, 1951. 20. Rules for radicals. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Rules for radicals, 1971. 21. Social engineering. The weakest link in any security system is the human being. The Art of Deception, 2001. 22. The Grand Inquisitor. People do not want freedom. They want miracle, mystery, and authority. The Brothers Karamazov, 1880. 23. Chaos magic. Belief is a tool. Adopt any belief system that helps you achieve your goal. Then discard it. The Book of Pleasure, 1913. 24. Sigilization. Encode a desire into a symbol, charge it, and forget it to bypass the psychic censor. The Book of Pleasure, 1913. 25. The left-hand path. Spiritual advancement comes through breaking taboos and self-deification, not submission. Lords of the Left-Hand Path, 1990s. 26. Sex transmutation. The energy of creation can be directed towards non-procreative goals, wealth or power. Magic in Theory and Practice, 1929. 27. Egregore. a distinct psychic entity created by the collective thoughts of a group, the Golden Dawn, 1880s. 28. Reality tunnels. We do not see the world. We see the model our brain has built. You can change the tunnel, Prometheus Rising, 1983. 29. The centipede's dilemma. Unconscious competence is destroyed by conscious scrutiny, paralysis by analysis. Lines of the Centipede, 1871. 30. Information asymmetry. The seller always knows more than the buyer. This imbalance drives the market. The Market for Lemons, 1970. 31. Signaling theory. We engage in costly behaviors, luxury goods, just to prove we have resources. The theory of the leisure class, 1899. 32. The Red Queen effect. You must run as fast as you can just to stay in the same place through the looking glass, 1871. 33. Thucydides' trap. When a rising power threatens a ruling power, war is almost inevitable. History of the Peloponnesian War, 400 BC. 34. Gresham's law. Bad money drives out good money, bad behavior drives out good behavior. Royal Exchange, 1558. 35. Institutional isomorphism. Organizations copy each other to appear legitimate, not to be efficient. The Iron Cage Revisited, 1983. 36. The Peter Principle. Dark. In a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to their level of incompetence. The Peter Principle, 1969. 37. Moral hazard. People take more risks when they are insulated from the consequences. Insurance theory, 17th century. 38. Tragedy of the anti-commons. When too many people have the right to say no, nothing gets done. Gridlock economy, 1998. 39. Public choice theory. Politicians act in their own self-interest, not the public interest. The calculus of consent, 1962. 40. The logic of collective action. Small, focused groups with high stakes defeat large, diffuse groups. The logic of collective action, 1965. 41. Hostile architecture. Design environments to control behavior. Example. Anti-homeless spikes. Unpleasant design. 2013. 42. Planned obsolescence. Products are designed to fail to ensure future demand. Ending the Depression through planned obsolescence, 1932. 43. The shock doctrine. Crises are engineered or exploited to push through unpopular policies. The shock doctrine, 2007. 44. Confessions of an economic hitman. Debt is used to enslave nations to the global empire. Confessions of an economic hitman, 2004. 45. Deep politics. Political reality is determined by hidden networks of intelligence, crime, and finance. Deep Politics and the Death of JFK, 1993. 46. Operation Mockingbird. Intelligence agencies infiltrate media to steer public opinion. Church Committee Reports, 1976. 47. Predictive programming. Fiction is used to acclimate the public to planned future events. Research concept, late 20th century. 48. The bicameral mind. Consciousness is a recent invention. Ancients heard gods. Hallucinations. The origin of consciousness, 1976. 49. Terror management theory. All human culture is a defense mechanism against the fear of death. The denial of death, 1973. 50. The Great Filter. We don't see aliens because civilizations tend to destroy themselves before leaving their planet. The Great Silence, 1996. Set 3. Secret Explain. Here is a comprehensive breakdown of these 50 advanced, often darker, sociological, psychological, and political concepts. As requested, the language is direct, uncensored, and focuses on the mechanical application of power and perception. 1. The noble lie. The concept. Plato argued that for a society to function, the masses must be fed a myth, a noble lie, by the ruling elite. The average person is considered too unstable or unintelligent to handle the harsh, chaotic truth of reality. Therefore, the elite fabricate a story, religion, nationalism, destiny, to keep the population cohesive, obedient, and happy. It is deception for the sake of stability. Real-life application. Scenario. A company is on the verge of bankruptcy. The lie. The CEO holds a town hall and says, "We are pivoting to a bold new strategy to dominate the market," while secretly preparing to sell the assets. The utility. If the CEO told the truth, "We are broke," employees would flee, the stock would crash, and the value would hit zero. The lie maintains the structure long enough for the elite, executives, to salvage a deal or exit safely. 2. Engineering of consent. The concept, Edward Bernays, the father of PR, argued that in a democracy, the masses could not be trusted to make the right decisions. Therefore, a hidden government of elites must manufacture consent by manipulating the subconscious desires of the public. You don't force people, you make them want what you want them to want. Real-life application, scenario, you need to sell a toxic product, example, cigarettes, to a new demographic. The engineering, do not argue that cigarettes are healthy. Instead, stage a protest where women light cigarettes as torches of freedom. Link the product to the emotional desire for liberation. The public now buys the poison, voluntarily, because they believe it is a symbol of their own power. 3. Iron law of oligarchy. The concept, Robert Michels observed that all organizations, no matter how democratic they start, eventually inevitably succumb to rule by a small elite, oligarchy. As a group grows, it requires bureaucracy. The people who run the bureaucracy gain specialized knowledge and control over communication. They eventually use this power to protect their own status rather than serve the members. Real-life application, scenario, you join a labor union or a homeowners association. The reality, you will notice the leadership has been the same for 20 years. They use union dues to attend conferences in Hawaii. If you try to change it, they use the bylaws, which they know better than you, to silence you. The organization exists now to serve the leaders, not the members. 4. Mimetic desire. The concept, René Girard proposed that human desire is not autonomous. You don't want an object because of its inherent value. You want it because someone else wants it. We mimic the desires of our models. Consequently, conflict does not arise from difference, but from sameness, two people desiring the exact same slot because they are mimicking each other. Real-life application, scenario, office politics and promotions. The trap. You didn't care about the senior manager title until your rival, Dave, started gunning for it. Now you are obsessed. The hack. Recognize that your desire is parasitic. Step out of the mimesis. Let Dave have the title. Pivot to a different game, example. Remote work flexibility. That Dave isn't playing. You win by refusing to compete for the same bone. 5. Master-slave morality. The concept, Nietzsche argued that there are two moralities. Master morality values pride, strength, and power. Good means strong, and bad means weak. Slave morality, Christianity or socialism, is an invention of the weak to subvert the strong. The weak cannot conquer the strong physically, so they convince the strong that power is evil and meekness is good. Real-life application, scenario, you are successful, and people criticize you for being arrogant or greedy. The interpretation, recognize this as a weapon of the weak. They are using moral language to handicap your potential because they cannot compete with you. Do not internalize their guilt. View their virtue as a mask for their envy. 6. Straussian reading. The concept, Leo Strauss believed that great philosophers wrote on two levels: an exoteric message, safe, conventional for the masses to avoid persecution, and an esoteric message, the dangerous truth, hidden between the lines for the elite reader. The text says one thing, but means the opposite to those who know how to read it. Real-life application, scenario, reading central bank statements, or diplomatic press releases. The decoding, the Federal Reserve Chairman says, the banking system is sound. The exoteric meaning, don't panic. The esoteric meaning, for investors. The system is fragile, and we are about to print billions to save it. Read what they do, not what they say. 7. Virtù and fortuna. The concept, Machiavelli's prince must possess virtù, skill, ruthlessness, flexibility. He must navigate fortuna, luck or chaos. The essential lesson is that a leader cannot be bound by Christian morality. To save the state, he must be willing to enter evil if necessity commands it. A leader who tries to be good all the time will come to ruin among so many who are not good. Real-life application, scenario, a toxic employee is destroying your team but has a sick family member. The action, Christian morality, says be merciful. Machiavellian virtù says cut the cancer. You fire the employee immediately to save the team, the state. You accept the evil of the action as a necessary cost of leadership. 8. Crush your enemy totally. The concept, Law 15 of the 48 Laws of Power. If you defeat an enemy but leave them with hope or resources, they will recover. fueled by hatred, and seek revenge. To be safe, you must destroy their reputation, their finances, and their spirit. You must extinguish the ember. Real-life application, scenario, a legal battle or corporate rivalry. The execution, do not settle for a nice compromise. If you have the leverage, strip them of everything. Have them sign non-competes. Ensure they cannot find funding. If you leave them a foothold, they will spend the next 10 years plotting your downfall. 9. The Dictator's Handbook. The concept, politics is not about the will of the people. It is about the will of the keys. Every leader answers to a coalition of essential supporters, generals, oligarchs, police chiefs. If the leader pays the keys, he stays. If he spends money on the people, roads, schools, instead of the keys will overthrow him. Real-life application, scenario, corporate advancement. The strategy, stop trying to please the masses, your 50 coworkers. Identify the 3 keys who actually control your promotion: the boss favorite client, and HR director. Keep those 3 happy at all costs. Ignore the complaints of the others. The others cannot fire you, the keys can. 10. Manufactured consent. The concept, Noam Chomsky argued that mass media is not a check on power. It is a mechanism to integrate people into the system. Through 5 filters: ownership, advertising, sourcing, flack, anti-ideology. The media presents a narrow range of acceptable debate that supports the interests of the elite, while silencing systemic dissent. Real-life application, scenario, watching a debate on TV about a war. The filter. Notice that the debate is, should we bomb them with drones or planes? Tactics. The question, should we be there at all? Systemic, is never asked. Understand that the spectrum of debate has been pre-selected to ensure the military-industrial complex wins either way. 11. The Gervais Principle. The concept, Venkat Rao's theory of organizational dynamics. 1. Sociopaths, top. Darwinian, manipulative, drive the company, have no empathy. 2. Clueless, middle. Delusional, believe in the company mission, brown nosers, the buffer layer. 3. Losers, bottom. Did a cost-benefit analysis, realize the game is rigged, do the bare minimum work for a paycheck. Real-life application, scenario, surviving a corporate job. The identity, if you want to be CEO, act like a sociopath, manipulate. If you want a life, act like a loser, do your 9 to 5 and go home. Never be the clueless. They work the hardest, get paid the least, and are the first to be fired because they actually believe the HR rhetoric. 12. Rent-seeking. The concept, profit is making money by creating value, baking bread. Rent-seeking is making money by manipulating the political or social environment to extract wealth from others without creating anything. Lobbying for a law that bans your competitors. It is legalized parasitism. Real-life application, scenario, licensing and certification. The mechanism. Why do hair braiders need 2,000 hours of training and a state license? It's not for safety. It's rent-seeking by cosmetology schools and established salons to create a barrier to entry. If you're in business, the easiest money is found in regulating your competition out of existence. 13. Hyperreality. The concept, Baudrillard argued that we have lost access to the real world. We live in a simulation of symbols. The map has replaced the territory. A war on TV is a curated entertainment product, not the bloody reality of death. We prefer the hyperreal, the airbrushed model, to the real, the actual human. Real-life application, scenario, online dating or Instagram. The simulation, you fall in love with a profile, not a person. The profile is a hyper-real construct, curated angles, witty bio, best moments. When you meet the real person, you are disappointed because they are flawed. You have been conditioned to prefer the simulation. 14. The spectacle. The concept, Guy Debord argued that genuine social life has been replaced by its representation. We do not live, we watch. We do not do, we buy. The spectacle is the autocratic reign of the market economy, which turns us into passive consumers of images rather than active participants in history. Real-life application, scenario, concerts or travel. The behavior, watch people at a concert. They are not watching the band, they are watching the band through their phone screen while recording it for Instagram. They are not experiencing the moment, they are producing a representation of the moment for the spectacle. They are content providers, not humans. 15. Biopower. The concept Michel Foucault term for the modern state's subjugation of bodies. Power is no longer just about kill or let live kings. It is about make live and let die. The state controls you through hygiene, psychiatry, censuses, vaccination, and insurance. It manages you like cattle. Real-life application, scenario. Corporate wellness programs. The control. Your company gives you a free Fitbit and lowers your insurance if you walk 10K steps. This looks like care. It is biopower. They are monitoring your biological data to optimize your productivity and minimize their depreciation costs on your body. You are a biological machine being tuned. 16. Reflexive control. The concept, a Soviet military doctrine. To win, you do not force the enemy to do what you want. You convey specific information, true or false, to the enemy's decision-making center, such that they voluntarily make the decision you wanted them to make. It is mind control via information filtering. Real-life application, scenario, salary negotiation. The plant, you want $100K. You know they want to pay $80K. Before the meeting, you casually mention to a colleague, who talks to the boss, that you have an offer from a rival for $110,000. False or exaggerated. The boss hears this. When you sit down, the boss voluntarily offers $100,000, thinking he is saving $10K. You controlled his reflex. 17. Active measures. The concept, KGB warfare. The goal is not to destroy the enemy's army, but to demoralize the enemy's society. The process. 1. Demoralization, 15 to 20 years. Destroy values or education. 2. Destabilization. Ruin economy or defense. 3. Crisis. Violent change. 4. Normalization. Tyrannical control. The goal is to make a society unable to process facts. Real-life application. Scenario. Culture wars. The fog. If you want to destroy a competitor or a group, do not attack them directly. Spread contradictory rumors. Fund their extremists. Create internal chaos, so they spend all their energy fighting each other, rather than fighting you. A confused enemy is a defeated enemy. 18. The Overton window. The concept. There is a window of policies that the public will accept. Anything outside it is radical. To pass a radical law, you don't argue for the law, you shift the window. You promote an insane idea so that your radical idea looks moderate by comparison. Real-life application, scenario, negotiating a project timeline. The shift, you need 2 months. If you ask for 2 months, they will give you 1. So you demand 4 months with a straight face. They scream, that's impossible. You eventually compromise at 2 months. They feel like they won. You moved the window to make 2 months acceptable. 19. The true believer. The concept, Eric Hoffer noticed that mass movements, Nazism, communism, cults, do not appeal to people who are happy. They appeal to the frustrated, the failures, and the bored. These people want to lose their unwanted self and dissolve into a holy cause. They don't want freedom. They want slavery to a master to escape the burden of being themselves. Real-life application, scenario, recruiting for a risky startup or cause. The target. Do not target the successful and content. Target the people who feel the world has cheated them. Offer them a revolution, not a job. Give them an enemy. They will work for free and die for you because you have given them an identity. 20. Rules for radicals. The concept, Saul Alinsky's manual for seizing power. The most famous rule, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. You cannot fight an institution, Bank of America. You must fight a person, the CEO. You isolate them, demonize them, and force them to react. Real-life application scenario, customer service complaint. The attack? Don't tweet United Airlines sucks. Tweet, hey, @United CEO, why do you hate disabled passengers? Find the specific person responsible. Post their photo. Make it personal. The institution will sacrifice the individual to save itself, giving you what you want. 21. Social engineering. The concept, in cybersecurity, the hardware is hard to hack, the human is easy. Social engineering is the art of manipulating people into giving up confidential info. It relies on human bugs, helpfulness, fear of authority, and greed. Real-life application, scenario, bypassing a gatekeeper. The pretext, put on a high-vis vest and carry a ladder. Walk confidently past the front desk of a secure building. Humans are programmed not to question people working. Or call an employee, claim to be IT support, and demand their password urgently to stop a hack. Their fear of authority overrides their security training. 22. The Grand Inquisitor. The concept. A chapter in Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. Jesus returns, and the church arrests him. The Inquisitor explains that the church has corrected Jesus' work. Jesus gave man freedom, but man cannot handle freedom. Freedom causes anxiety. The church took away freedom and gave them miracle, mystery, and authority, bred in circuses. People are happier as slaves. Real-life application, scenario, leadership style. The truth. Most employees do not want autonomy or ownership. That means they are responsible if it fails. They want you to tell them exactly what to do, authority, and promise them it will work, miracle. If you give them total freedom, they will resent you. 23. Chaos magic. The concept, nothing is true, everything is permitted. Belief is not a description of reality, it is a tool to change reality. You can adopt a belief system, example, Christianity, paganism, objectivism, temporarily to achieve a goal, then discard it. It is the psychological hacking of one's own placebo effect. Real-life application, scenario, overcoming severe anxiety before a speech. The shift, rationally telling yourself it's okay, fails. Instead, adopt the belief, I am possessed by the spirit of Ares, god of war. Perform a ritual. Induce a trance. Even if false, the belief triggers the adrenaline and confidence you need. Use the delusion as a tool. 24. Sigillization. The concept, a technique to program the subconscious. You write down a desire, strip the letters to form an abstract symbol, sigil. Charge it with emotional intensity, pain or orgasm. And then, crucially, forget it. By forgetting the conscious desire, you bypass the psychic censor, doubt or anxiety, and plant the command directly in the deep mind. Real-life application, scenario, achieving a goal without self-sabotage. The bypass. If you obsess over I want money, your brain replies, but you are broke. Create a symbol for wealth, stare at it, then bury it. Distract yourself. By engaging the subconscious without the conscious interference, you navigate toward the goal instinctively. 25. The left-hand path. The concept. In occultism, the right-hand path is submission to a higher power, God or society, to dissolve the self. The left-hand path is the breaking of taboos and the strengthening of the self to become a god. It is the path of isolation, individuality, and antinomianism, going against the law. Real-life application, scenario, industry disruption, example. Uber, Airbnb. The method. These founders followed the left-hand path. They didn't ask permission, submission. They broke the laws, taxi regulations, zoning. They elevated their own will above societal norms. True innovation often requires a distinct lack of respect for tradition and rules. 26. Sex transmutation. The concept. Revisiting with a darker angle. Sexual energy is the most potent creative force. Most men waste it on pleasure. The dark application is to deliberately deny sexual release, to build up a reservoir of frustration and aggression, then channel that rage into business conquest or domination. Real-life application, scenario, a high-stakes project sprint. The dam, go celibate for 30 days. The biological tension will manifest as irritability and high energy. Do not release it. Direct that aggression into cold calling, working 18 hours a day, and crushing competitors. You are weaponizing your biology. 27. Egregore. The concept, an occult term for a thought form created by a group. If enough people focus their energy on a concept, example, the Aryan race, or Apple, it takes on a life of its own. It becomes an entity that can influence the group. The egregore feeds on the attention of its members. Real-life application, scenario, corporate culture, or fandom. The entity, the company spirit, is an egregore. It demands sacrifice, unpaid overtime. It punishes heretics, those who don't fit the culture. As a leader, you are the high priest of the egregore. You must feed it rituals, meetings, retreats, to keep it alive, or the group dissolves. 28. Reality tunnels. The concept. Robert Anton Wilson argued that we do not see reality. We see a tunnel created by our genetics, upbringing, and beliefs. A Marxist and a capitalist see two completely different worlds when looking at the same factory. You are trapped in your tunnel unless you actively break it. Real-life application, scenario, conflict resolution. The shift, stop arguing facts. You cannot convince someone in a different tunnel with facts from your tunnel. You must momentarily enter their tunnel. Speak their language. Appeal to their fears. Once you are inside their reality, you can lead them out. 29. The centipede's dilemma. The concept. A centipede was walking perfectly until a toad asked, "Which leg do you move after the 17th?" The centipede tried to think about it, got confused, and couldn't walk. Unconscious competence is destroyed by conscious scrutiny. Real-life application, scenario, sabotaging a rival. The question, if your opponent is performing well, flow state. Compliment them on a specific, tiny mechanical detail. Your swing is great. I love how you twist your wrist at the apex. They will start thinking about their wrist. They will lose their flow. They will choke. 30. Information asymmetry. The concept. Markets are not fair. The seller always knows more about the product, example, that the car has a cracked transmission, than the buyer. This imbalance is where profit is made. Pure transparency destroys profit margins. Real-life application, scenario, selling a service or yourself. The edge, never reveal your full process. If the client knows exactly how easy it is for you to fix the bug, they won't pay $500. Maintain the asymmetry. They pay for the result, not the effort. Keep the black box closed. 31. Signaling theory. The concept, evolutionary biology suggests that reliable signals must be costly. A peacock's tail makes it easy to be eaten by predators. Therefore, a peacock with a big tail must be very fit to survive. Humans buy luxury goods, Veblen goods, not for utility, but to prove they have resources to burn. Real-life application, scenario, business meetings. The signal, if you are desperate for the deal, you will lose. You must signal abundance. Arrive late. Be willing to walk away. Wear a tailored suit. These are costs that signal you don't need the money. Ironically, this makes them want to give you the money. 32. The Red Queen effect. The concept, from through the looking glass, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. In evolution and business, the competition is always adapting. If you stop improving, you don't stay the same, you fall behind and die. Real-life application, scenario, career skills. The treadmill, learning AI today, is not getting ahead. It is the bare minimum to stay employed. If you are not aggressively updating your skills every 6 months, you are effectively becoming obsolete. There is no rest. 33. Thucydides' trap. The concept. When a rising power, Athens or China, threatens to displace a ruling power, Sparta or USA, the resulting structural stress makes war almost inevitable, even if neither side wants it. The ruling power creates rules to contain the riser breaks them. Real-life application, scenario, a new superstar employee joins the team. The trap, the current team lead, ruling power, will subconsciously feel threatened by the new star rising power. He will sabotage the new guy under the guise of training. If you are the manager, you must separate them or define clear, non-overlapping territories, or they will destroy the department. 34. Gresham's Law. The concept, bad money drives out good. If there are two currencies, people hoard the good one, gold, and spend the bad one, paper. In social systems, bad behavior drives out good. If one person cheats and wins, everyone must cheat to compete. Real-life application, scenario, online dating or content creation. The race to the bottom, if clickbait, bad content, gets more views than deep analysis, good content, creators will stop making good content. Eventually, the platform is 100% trash. As a consumer, you must curate your feed aggressively, or you will drown in the bad money. 35. Institutional isomorphism. The concept. Why do all universities, banks, and hospitals look and act exactly the same? Not because it's efficient, but because they mimic each other to appear legitimate. If a bank started acting like a tech startup, people would fear it. They copy the form of success, even if the function is broken. Real-life application, scenario, building a startup. The camouflage, even if you are two guys in a garage, You need a legal page, a press page, and professional emails. You must don the costume of a real company, isomorphism, so other institutions will interface with you. Fake the structure to gain entry. 36. The Peter Principle, dark. The concept. In a hierarchy, people are promoted based on current performance until they reach a role they are bad at. There, they stay. The dark corollary. The work is actually done by the people who have not yet reached their level of incompetence. Real-life application, scenario, assessing a new boss. The assessment, assume your boss is incompetent. He is likely in that chair because he couldn't go any higher. Do not rely on him for guidance. Find the hungry junior employees who are still climbing. They're the ones who actually know how the systems work. 37. Moral hazard. The concept. When someone else pays the cost for your mistakes, you will take dangerous risks. Bankers take huge risks because if they win, they get bonuses. If they lose, the taxpayers bail them out. Real-life application, scenario, consultants and advisors. The risk, a consultant recommends a risky strategy. If it works, he is a genius. If it fails, he says you implemented it wrong and still gets paid. He has no skin in the game. Never give full authority to someone who doesn't share the downside. 38. Tragedy of the anti-commons. The concept, the opposite of the tragedy of the commons. Here, too many people have rights of exclusion, the right to say no. When too many bureaucrats, agencies, and owners must agree for a project to proceed, nothing happens. It is gridlock by ownership. Real-life application, scenario, getting a project approved in a matrix organization. The bypass, if you ask legal, HR, finance, and branding for permission, one will say no. Do not ask. Do the work first. Apologize later. If you seek consensus in an anti-commons, you will die waiting. 39. Public choice theory. The concept. James Buchanan argued that politicians and bureaucrats are not public servants. They are rational, self-interested actors maximizing their own power, budget, and re-election chances. The public good is just the marketing slogan they use to sell their self-interest. Real-life application, scenario, analyzing government policy. The cynicism. Do not ask, will this law help the poor? Ask, how does this law help the politician get re-elected, or the bureaucrat increase his department's budget? The answer usually explains why ineffective programs never die. They provide jobs and votes, not results. 40. The logic of collective action. The concept. Mancor Olson explained why small minorities tyrannize majorities. A small group, example, sugar farmers, has a huge per-person incentive to organize, millions in subsidies. The large group, taxpayers, has a tiny per-person cost, $2 a year. The majority want organized for $2. The minority will kill for millions. Thus, the minority wins. Real-life application, scenario, office politics. The cabal, a small, tight-knit group of 3 people who meet daily, can dominate a department of 50 disconnected people. Organize a minority with high stakes. You will steamroll the passive majority. 41. Hostile architecture. The concept, urban design used to control human behavior, often specifically to exclude undesirables. Benches with center armrests, to stop sleeping. Window ledges with spikes. It is the physical manifestation of the state's desire to sanitize the environment without solving the root problem. Real-life application, scenario, office design. The layout, open-plan offices are hostile architecture. They are designed to prevent privacy, maximize surveillance, and discourage wasting time, relaxing. Recognize that the space is designed to make you uncomfortable, so you only work. 42. Planned obsolescence. The concept, in the 1920s, the Phoebus cartel of light bulb manufacturers agreed to reduce the lifespan of bulbs from 500 hours to 1,000 hours. To sell more bulbs. Capitalism requires consumption. If products last forever, the economy collapses. Things are engineered to break. Real-life application, scenario, tech, and fashion. The cycle. Understand that the software update slowing down your phone is intentional. The out-of-style clothes are intentional. You are on a treadmill of forced consumption. The only way to win is to buy Lindy goods, cast iron, leather, mechanical tools that resist obsolescence. 43. The shock doctrine. The concept, Naomi Klein's theory of disaster capitalism. When a society is in shock, war, hurricane, pandemic, they are disoriented and willing to accept emergency measures. The elite use these windows to push through unpopular free market policies, privatization cuts that would never pass during peacetime. Real-life application, scenario, corporate restructuring, or a bad quarter. The opportunity. If your department has a crisis, a major error, use the panic to push through the changes you always wanted, firing the slacker, buying new software. Never let a good crisis go to waste. 44. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. The concept. John Perkins described how the global empire works. 1. Identify a country with resources. 2. Arrange huge loans from the World Bank for infrastructure, built by U.S. companies. 3. The country cannot pay the debt. 4. The U.S. demands resources, oil, UN votes, as payment. It is neocolonialism via debt. Real-life application, scenario, personal debt. The trap. Credit card companies and student loans act as economic hitmen. They offer you easy money to build your infrastructure, degree, lifestyle. When you can't pay, they own your future labor. Avoid debt at all costs. It is the chain of the modern slave. 45. Deep politics. The concept, Peter Dale Scott's concept, that there is a deep state, the intersection of intelligence agencies, organized crime, and finance, that operates outside the law and public scrutiny to manage the drug trade, arms deals, and covert wars. Political decisions are often made here, not in Congress. Real-life application, scenario, understanding inexplicable decisions. The shadow. When a company makes a decision that loses money but pleases a regulator, or a government ignores a drug epidemic, look for the deep connection. Who benefits in the shadows? Usually, the visible explanation is a cover for a covert transaction. 46. Operation Mockingbird. The concept a CIA program started in the 1950s to infiltrate domestic media. They bribed journalists and editors to publish propaganda as news. The revelation is that the free press is often an echo chamber for the intelligence community's narrative. Real-life application, scenario. Reading anonymous intelligence sources. The skepticism when a news story cites unnamed intelligence officials, treat it as a press release from the CIA, not news. It is likely a planted story to shape public opinion for a specific policy goal. Example. War. 47. Predictive programming. The concept. A conspiracy theory or sociological observation that governments or elites use fiction, movies, books, to introduce concepts to the public before they happen in reality. This desensitizes the population so that when the event, pandemic, AI takeover occurs, the public accepts it as normal or inevitable. Real-life application, scenario, introducing a radical change at work. The seed. Before you announce the layoff or the merger, start joking about it. Mention it as a hypothetical. Let the rumor mill run. By the time you announce it officially, everyone has already processed the fear. You have programmed them to accept the shock. 48. The bicameral mind. The concept, Julian Jaynes hypothesized that ancient humans were not conscious. Their brain was divided. The right hemisphere hallucinated voices, gods, and the left hemisphere obeyed. Consciousness, the ability to introspect, is a breakdown of this bicameralism caused by language and complexity. We are still prone to obeying voices, authority. Real-life application, scenario, authority influence. The command. In high stress, people revert to bicameralism. They stop thinking and look for a voice to obey. If there is a crisis, do not ask for suggestions. Issue commands. You, call 911. You, get water. People will obey the external voice because their internal monologue has shut down. 49. Terror management theory. The concept, Ernest Becker argued that human civilization is a defense mechanism against the terrifying knowledge that we will die. We build skyscrapers, write books, and start wars to create immortality projects. All culture is driven by the fear of death. Real-life application, scenario, dealing with a difficult ego. The leverage. When someone is obsessed with their legacy or their name on the building, they are terrified of death. Validate their immortality project. This project will ensure you are remembered for decades. You soothe their existential terror, and they will give you whatever you want. 50. The Great Filter. The concept. The Fermi paradox asks, where are all the aliens? The Great Filter answers, there is a hurdle in evolution that is almost impossible to cross. Either life rarely starts, we are special, or civilizations inevitably destroy themselves. With technology, we are doomed. We may be approaching our filter now. Real-life application, scenario, long-term planning. The outlook, existential risk is non-zero. Do not assume the future will look like the past. Build resilience, skills, assets that survive a system collapse. If humanity is facing a great filter, AI, nuclear, climate, the only rational strategy is to be prepared for the discontinuity.